Houston, Texas, April 28, 1967, 8:47 a.m. The Armed Forces Induction Center sits on San Jacinto Street. Red brick building, 3 stories. American flag hanging from the second floor. No wind. The flag hangs limp. Inside, fluorescent lights hum. Green linoleum floors shine with fresh wax. The smell of coffee and cigarette smoke. 23 young men wait in rows of metal folding chairs. Most are black, some white. All poor. All here because a letter arrived, telling them their country needs them. Muhammad Ali sits in the 3rd row, wearing a dark suit, white shirt, thin black tie. His hands rest on his knees, his back straight, his jaw set. He is 25 years old, heavyweight champion of the world, at the absolute peak of his physical power. His record, 29-0, 22 knockouts. In 3 months, he defended his title against Ernie Terrell, dominated for 15 rounds, made Terrell say his name, "What's my name?" over and over while hitting him. The boxing world expects him to reign for another decade, but this morning, none of that matters. The room is silent, except for shuffling feet and nervous coughs. 23 men waiting to be called, waiting to sign their names, waiting to board buses that will take them to boot camp, then to Vietnam. Muhammad Ali knows what happens next. He's known for weeks. The question isn't what will happen. The question is whether he can actually do it. 50 years later, people still argue about April 28, 1967. Was Ali right to refuse? Was the sacrifice worth it? The boxing record is clear. Ali fought 61 professional fights, won 56, lost 5. But those 5 losses all came after his exile. In his first 29 fights, before the ban, he never lost. Who knows what his record would have been if he'd fought from age 25 to 29. 35 no? 35 no? 40-35? 40-30? Who knows if he would have developed Parkinson's if he'd retired at 32 instead of 40. But here's the other record. In 1971, the Pentagon Papers are leaked. Prove the government lied about Vietnam. In 1973, American troops withdraw. The war ends. In 1975, Saigon falls. North Vietnam wins. 58, 2020 American soldiers dead. Over 1 million Vietnamese dead. All for nothing. Muhammad Ali was right about the war. Right before anyone else. Right when it cost him everything to be right. So was it worth it? Muhammad Ali, age 54, climbs steps to light the Olympic torch. His hands shake from Parkinson's. The whole world watches him struggle to lift the torch, watches him fight his own body to complete this one simple task. When the flame ignites, 80,000 people in the stadium stand and cheer, not for the boxer, for the man who refused, lost his title, lost his license, lost 3.5 years, lost his prime, lost his health, lost millions of dollars. In those 47 seconds, Muhammad Ali became a symbol, became a martyr, became a prophet, became bigger than boxing, became bigger than sports, became an idea that transcended one man's life. So was it worth it? Ask the college students who wore his name on protest signs. Ask the draft resistors who cited his courage. Ask the Vietnamese who remember he refused to kill them. Ask the millions who watched him light the Olympic torch and understood that shaking hand represented more strength than any punch he ever threw. Or ask a different question. What would have happened if Ali had said yes that morning? If he'd stepped forward, signed the papers, put on the uniform, he would have kept his title, kept his money, kept his health. He would have fought through his prime, retired undefeated, been remembered as the greatest boxer who ever lived. But would anyone remember his name today? Would children learn about him in history class? Would his funeral have drawn world leaders? Or would he just be another champion, another athlete who played it safe, another man who had power and did nothing with it? Muhammad Ali didn't sacrifice his career for principle. He sacrificed his career and discovered his purpose. Before April 28, 1967. He was a boxer. After, he was something else. Something harder to define. Something bigger. Athlete. Activist. Symbol. Prophet. Martyr. Icon. A man who proved that saying no to power is the ultimate form of power. A man who proved that losing everything can mean gaining something more valuable than everything. A man who stood still for 47 seconds and changed the world. But here's the part no one talks about. He paid for those 47 seconds for the rest of his life. Every punch he took after 1970, every slurred word after 1984, every tremor, every shuffling step. The price of principle isn't paid once. It's paid daily, for decades. And Ali paid it, kept paying it, until his body finally broke. So one last time, was it worth it? Ali never answered that question directly. But in 1974, after beating George Foreman in Zaire, a reporter asked if he had any regrets. Ali thought for a long time, then said, "I did what I had to do. What I knew was right. You can't ask for more than that. You can't give more than that." Then he walked away, limping slightly, already damaged, already paying the price, still paying it. Houston, Texas, April 28, 1967, 8:47 a.m. Clay, Cassius Marcellus, 47 seconds. Ali dies at age 74. His funeral is broadcast globally. World leaders attend. Presidents, kings, activists. Barack Obama calls him a man who fought for what was right. Billy Crystal says he was the most famous person on earth, and he used that fame to stand up for people who had no voice. But maybe the most telling moment comes from a Vietnamese man interviewed outside the funeral. He's crying. Reporter asks why. He says, "Muhammad Ali refused to come kill my people. He gave up everything for us, people he never met." How do you repay something like that? 2016, 1996, Atlanta Olympics. Opening ceremony, October 26, 1970, Atlanta, Georgia. Jerry Quarry. Ali wins by TKO in the third round, but something is different. He's slower, takes more punches. His legs, once impossibly quick, now move half a second behind his brain. 3.5 years of exile have aged him 7 years. He fights Joe Frazier in 1971. Loses for the first time in his career. Knocked down in the 15th round. He fights Ken Norton in 1973. Loses again. Norton breaks his jaw. The man who refused to go to war spends the 1970s at war with his own body. Fighting through damage. Fighting through pain. Fighting to prove he's still Muhammad Ali. In 1974, he beats George Foreman in Zaire, becomes champion again. In 1978, he loses to Leon Spinks, then beats Spinks in a rematch, becomes champion a third time. In 1981, he fights Trevor Berbick in the Bahamas, loses badly, retires. By 1984, he's diagnosed with Parkinson's syndrome. The tremors start, the slurred speech, the shuffling walk. Doctors say it's from too many punches, too many fights he shouldn't have taken, too many years fighting past his prime. Years he only fought past his prime because the government took his prime away. 3.5 years, 1,277 days. Muhammad Ali, age 25 to 29. The absolute peak years for a heavyweight boxer, gone. Larry Holmes, who trains with Ali during this period, later says, "Those were the years Ali would have been untouchable. Fastest he ever was. Strongest. No one could have beaten him. And the government took them." Ali stays in shape, runs every morning, hits the speed bag in his garage, spars with local fighters who'll work with him for free. But it's not the same. Sparring isn't fighting. Gym work isn't competition. The sharpness fades. The timing slips. The reflexes slow. By 1970, Ali is 28 years old and hasn't had a professional fight in 3 years. Most boxers are retired by 32. Then June 28, 1970, The Supreme Court overturns his conviction on a technicality. Ali is free, but he's not vindicated. The court doesn't say he was right, just that the government prosecuted him incorrectly. It doesn't matter. He can fight again, but something else is happening. Something the government didn't predict. College students start wearing ALI buttons. Anti-war protesters chant his name at demonstrations. Black activists quote his words. The man white America wanted to destroy becomes a symbol, not of cowardice, of principle. In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. is asked about Ali's draft refusal. King says, he is giving up millions of dollars to do what he thinks is right. No matter what you think about his religion, you have to admire his courage. 3 weeks later, King is assassinated in Memphis. At the funeral, someone asks Ali if he's scared, if he thinks they'll kill him too. Ali says, I'm already dead to them. They took everything but my breath. June 20, 1967. Federal Courthouse, Houston. The trial lasts 1 day. The jury deliberates for 20 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Judge Joe Ingram sentences Ali to 5 years in federal prison and a $10,000 fine. Ali remains free on bond while appealing, but the boxing bans hold. No state will license him. No promoter will touch him. His passport is revoked, so he can't fight overseas. The man who once commanded $300,000 per fight now makes money giving speeches at college campuses for $2,000 each. His annual income drops from over $2 million to under $200,000. His house in Miami goes into foreclosure. His second marriage collapses under financial stress. News cameras that once followed him to capture his brilliance now follow him to document his decline. And through it all, the war in Vietnam continues. More boys drafted, more body bags returned. The death toll climbs past 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000. Muhammad Ali watches from exile. Within 30 minutes, Lieutenant Dunkley files official paperwork declaring Muhammad Ali has refused induction. The document will be used as evidence in his trial. Within 2 hours, the New York State Athletic Commission strips Ali of his boxing license. Within 4 hours, the World Boxing Association strips him of his heavyweight title. By evening, every major state athletic commission in America follows. Ali is banned from boxing in all 50 states. He is 25 years old, in his absolute prime, undefeated, and he will not fight again for 3.5 years. But that's not the worst part. And then he does. Ali stands, not to step forward, to speak. His voice is quiet, steady, no anger, no fear, just certainty. I have said it before, and I will say it again. I do not believe in the war that is being waged in Vietnam. My religion forbids me to take part in any war unless declared by Allah or by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I do not believe in fighting and killing. He pauses. For this reason, I refuse to be inducted into the armed forces of the United States. The room explodes, not with sound, with movement. Reporters rush forward. Cameras pivot. Flashbulbs fire in rapid succession. Questions shouted over each other. Ali, do you know what this means? Are you prepared to go to prison? Do you think you're a coward? What about your title? Ali doesn't answer, just sits back down. Hands on knees, the same position. Captain Hartman walks over, bends down, speaks quietly. The cameras can't hear what he says, but witnesses later report it was this. Son, think about what you're doing. You'll lose everything. Your title, your license, your freedom. Is it worth it? Ali looks at him, says one word. Yes. The morning, 8:47 a.m. Houston Armed Forces Induction Center. Lieutenant Stephen Dunkley stands at the front of the room, holding a clipboard. He's 34 years old, career military, served in Korea, believes in duty, believes young men should be honored to serve their country. He does not understand Muhammad Ali. Dunkley looks at the clipboard. 23 names. He'll call them alphabetically. Each man will step forward, raise his right hand, take the oath, Sign the papers. Become the property of the United States Army. Simple. Done this hundreds of times. But today is different. Today, the world is watching. Dunkley clears his throat, begins calling names.
Anderson Robert.
A thin black kid stands, walks forward, raises his hand, signs, sits back down. Bennett James. White kid, maybe 19, scared eyes. He signs. Carter, William. Davis, Eugene. Freeman, Marcus. One by one, they sign. Some hesitate. Most don't. What choice do they have? Refuse and go to prison. Sign and maybe survive Vietnam. The cameras don't record them. The reporters don't write down their names. 22 American boys about to be fed into a war machine, and history won't remember any of them. Dunkley keeps calling names. Then he reaches the C's. His voice changes, gets slightly louder. He knows what's coming. Everyone in the room knows. Clay, Cassius Marcellus. Silence. Muhammad Ali doesn't move. He sits in his chair, hands on his knees, eyes forward, breathing steady. Dunkley waits. 5 seconds. 10. Clay. Cassius Marcellus. Second call. Louder now. Ali doesn't move, doesn't blink. His hands don't clench. His jaw doesn't tighten. He just sits. A photographer's flash goes off. Then another. The cameras are recording. NBC's microphone picks up the silence. CBS's camera zooms in on Ali's face. Perfectly still. Dunkley looks at Captain Harold Hartman, the senior officer present. Hartman nods. Protocol requires 3 calls. Clay, Cassius Marcellus. Third call. 47 seconds pass. 47 seconds of complete silence, while the heavyweight champion of the world refuses to stand. In those 47 seconds, several things happen simultaneously. A clerk in the back of the room stops typing. 2 of the other inductees turn to look at Ali. Lieutenant Dunkley's hand, holding the pen, begins to shake slightly. One reporter closes his notepad. Another opens his. The fluorescent lights continue humming. Someone coughs. A chair squeaks. Outside, a car horn. Muhammad Ali does not move. But here's what most people don't know. The government offered Ali a deal. Quiet deal. Off the record. Through intermediaries. Join the army, get assigned to special services, box exhibitions for the troops, never see combat, serve 2 years entertaining soldiers, keep the title, keep fighting, keep making money. All he has to do is put on the uniform, smile for the cameras, stop talking about Vietnam. Ali says no, not because he wants to be a martyr, because accepting the deal would mean admitting the war is legitimate, would mean his brothers in the Nation of Islam, who have no fame or leverage, would still have to go die in rice paddies while he performed for officers, would mean betraying everything he's said for the past 3 years. So he chooses the hard path, the path that ends his career. 2 years earlier, February 1964, Miami Beach. Cassius Clay defeats Sonny Liston, becomes heavyweight champion. The next day, announces he's joined the Nation of Islam, says his name is now Muhammad Ali. White America loses its mind. Sports Illustrated calls it the most shocking development in sports history. The New York Times editorial board says he's been taken in by racketeers. Politicians demand the title be stripped. Boxing commissioners in 7 states try to ban him from fighting in their jurisdictions. But Ali keeps winning, keeps talking, keeps saying things no black athlete has said before on national television. I don't have to be what you want me to be. In 1966, the draft board reclassifies him from 1Y, unfit for service due to low test scores, to 1A, eligible for immediate induction. The Vietnam War needs bodies. Ali's body is 6'3", 210 pounds of pure athletic perfection. The Army wants it. Ali appeals, cites religious beliefs. The Nation of Islam is a recognized religious organization. Ministers are exempt from combat duty. Ali is a minister. The appeal is denied. On February 17, 1966, Reporters catch Ali at a Miami airport. Ask him about Vietnam. He says 9 words that detonate across America. I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. The backlash is immediate and vicious. Newspaper editorials call him a coward, a traitor. Radio hosts say he should be deported. The American Legion demands he be stripped of his passport. Congressman Frank Clark of Pennsylvania enters a statement into the congressional record, calling Ali a complete and total disgrace. Governor of Illinois cancels Ali's scheduled fight in Chicago. Governor of Maine bans him from fighting there. New York State Athletic Commission says his license is under review. But the most devastating response comes from white sports writers who built his fame. Red Smith, New York Times. Cassius Clay makes himself a small and not very appealing figure. Jimmy Cannon, New York Post. Clay is part of the beatnik movement. He fits in with the famous singers no one can hear and the punks riding motorcycles with iron crosses pinned to their leather jackets. Even Floyd Patterson, former heavyweight champion and one of the few black fighters with mainstream white approval, calls Ali a disgrace to boxing and volunteers to fight him to reclaim the title for America. Ali beats Patterson. 15 rounds, makes it last. Punishes him for the betrayal. But the government doesn't stop. Draft notices keep coming. Court dates, hearings. Ali's lawyers file motion after motion, all denied. The message is clear. Muhammad Ali will go to Vietnam, or Muhammad Ali will go to prison. By April 1967, Ali has run out of legal options. One remains: show up at the induction center and refuse. But there's something else in that room, something no one's talking about yet. 3 television cameras set up in the corner: NBC, CBS, ABC, reporters with notepads, photographers checking light meters. They're not here for the other 22 men. They're here for one. This isn't just an induction. This is a test. Can the government break Muhammad Ali?